this was going to be an amazing addition to the board. I mean, he was active at St. Michael All Angels. He was working with an orphanage in Bolivia called Amistad. He was working on Native American reservations in South Dakota. I mean, honestly, he was pretty much the king of Dallas.
He was, and I remember that. And when I saw that resume came through, I had to call Carol C. I said, Carol, have you lost your mind? What on earth are you nominating this guy to our board? All he's going to want to do is sit around and do nothing. He's too busy. He's not going to do anything for us. So you really think he should be nominated to our board? Just what we need. A guy who sits around and does nothing.
All right, rock job.
He really was the king of Dallas.
He was the king of Dallas, and kings do nothing, as you know.
Tricia, he was very busy. He was involved all over Dallas. But it didn't take long for us to know that we had really underestimated the commitment and the passion that this guy, I mean, he was at every meeting. He was always there. It's true.
Well, it's true, but, you know, there was this one time at a board meeting, we were even in the board meeting for 10 minutes, and he came in and completely disrupted the whole meeting. As long as he comes in a horse's costume, Terry East is talking, and we're trying to talk about serious stuff, and his horse comes in, and all we could figure out was who's in the front and who's in the rear end of the horse.
It was Halloween.
Oh, that's true.
And do you remember we invited him to sit at our table to support Forrest Hoagland? You remember when Kansas honored him? I mean, he was incredibly busy that day, and he went way out of his way to make time to attend anyway.
Yeah. But, I don't think it was too much of a hardship. So, I think he was pretty quick to clear his calendar that day.
Oh, okay.
He thought there might be a better deal than having to be at work.
Tricia, he supported everything that we did. I mean, if there was an event, he and Kate were there. Do you remember one spring they hosted the mother-daughter tea in their home? And that was fantastic, and everyone had a really great time.
That's true, but you know when the event was over? I had 2 gallons of that awesome spice tea from Two Sisters. And so I went over to Dana and I said, I'd like you to keep this because, you know, it's really good. I kind of want to take it home myself, but I left it for him. And you know what he said? Oh, great! I can put that in my backpack and walk around White Rock with it. That was weird.
Tricia, he was training to go up Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that.
Well, and speaking of travel, he's the only board member that traveled with you to all 3 major funding locations. He went to Chiapas. He went to the Dominican Republic, and he went to Colombia. Isn't that correct?
It is true. And boy, can I tell you some stories on him. Wow. You know, there's never a boring time when you have Dana Juett on a trip. I remember this one time in Chiapas. We had a huge group. It was like 22 people, and we had 2 bands. And we'd gone down to this little village called Chamula. And it was a lot of shopping and things. And so we had made an agreement, you know, you'd be back in the bus at a certain time. Well, one of the buses, the bands got back on time. Those people were all there. And the other one, Gloria McCall, Sneed, and a few others, they weren't there. They were shopping. So the women that were on this one were getting a little irritated with the others. And so he sensed that people were feeling a little bit stressed out. Next thing I hear is this, yippee! Hey, Dallas! And I look over, and on top of this hill, a very high hill, he's got a push cart. And he's pushing this cart all the way down the hill. And there's this guy, who I'm sure he tipped to let him have the cart, running beside him, laughing, while we're over here just scared to death waiting for him to crash. So, yeah, he always did find a way to kind of keep people having a good time.
Well, and Trish, I mean, that's amazing, but he did. He knew when people needed a little TLC.
He did.
Or maybe a back rub.
Well, he did. And there were events, not catching up with us here with our stuff, but he did. He was famous for if you were in an event, you were tired, you've been working hard, there could be hands come up behind you and you start getting a little hand rub on the back here, and we all appreciated that. And also, he never met a stranger. You know, when we went to Columbia, we were visiting some women farmers. And I mean, we were out in the middle of nowhere. We had gone by a propeller plane out to the coast of Florida, and so we were looking at their crops. They were growing peppers. And he decided he would help them cut the weeds out from around the pepper plants. So he borrowed one of their machetes and decided to get out and help cut the plants. And as you'll see, he did, but it didn't go very well. So these women who really knew how to use the machete, they just sat and they watched and watched and watched. And I think they wanted to get up and go tell him how to do this, but they didn't want to hurt his ego, so they just kept sitting there watching. And then there was that ride up in the Andes. I know you remember, I just had that bad bout of vertigo. And so I was scared to death, you know, should I go on the trip and should I do this? I'm supposed to be the leader here. And I was so scared I'd get sick when we're up in the mountains. And Nancy Best gave me those little things to wear here, and I was taking the Dramamine and all that stuff. And what did we do? Our driver starts going, whoopee, whoopee, around that mountain. And I'm starting to get a little sick at my stomach. And I look over in the van, he was sitting right there behind me, and here was Dana Juett. Had his head like this, and his elbow on his knee. And I said, Dana, are you T-bowing or are you sick? And he said, I don't feel too good. So what did I do? Louise, please stop the van. My friend's not feeling well. We need some fresh air. And we stopped, and I was so glad he took that one for me, because otherwise I would have had to been the one that got out. So, thank goodness for Dana. He was really my hero that day.
Well, so let's see. We've got a guy who's given his heart to dozens and dozens of charities.
True.
He has a great sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
Willing to travel the globe to help people in need.
All over.
A faithful supporter, a peacemaker, a can-do spirit, a heart as big as Texas. So there is one thing that we can agree on, and that is that he is one awesome guy.
I would agree with that.
So, please join us in welcoming that awesome guy from Amarillo.
A true Texas tech raider.
Dallas' most beloved, William Dana Juett.
He'll always remember that it was given from all of you with love. So.
Thanks. Well, discretion is the better part of valor. I probably should just sit down and say thank you right now before it gets in hand. But move over to Luke Gary, because today I'm the luckiest man on the face of the planet. And I've always felt that way. And you have to feel that way when you get recognized with all the women and the wonderful things that they've done and those that we've recognized for the last several years. Well, everybody here all right? Okay, great. I think it probably has to do with the name Dana. It's caused problems before in some situations, especially when my wife Kate was invited to do a art class in Chattanooga, and she'd been on the phone with a teacher in Chattanooga talking about coming over and doing a class, and they talked for a long time. Katie told her how when she was in the 4th grade she couldn't really read, and that's why she focused on art, and she'd been an artist all her life, and the lady said, "Oh, that's just great, you're perfect. Email me your bio." And Kate said, "Well, I don't own a computer, and I've never sat at a computer, and I can't do that. Dana does computer." So she said, "Well, okay." And the lady got off the phone and went back to the teacher's lounge and said, "I've just had the most fascinating conversation with this bohemian artist in Dallas. She lives by a lake, but I think she's an illiterate lesbian." So when Kate actually got to Chattanooga to the class, the lady gave her a little piece of paper, small print, and it had her class schedule on it. And she said, "Here's your schedule," and Kate kind of did that. And said, "Well, show me the class." She said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot you can't read." I said, "No, I learned to read, but I really don't do computers. My husband, Dana, does that." And she went, "You're not even a lesbian?" So that's about the only way I can explain it. I want to first congratulate Lorraine and Chrissy and all the other women that we have honored through the years of this. I've told before, when I'm not stepping on myself, getting the difference between nasty and naughty wrong with Mrs. Jakes and things like that. How special it is and how wonderful it is what women in the world do. So I want to ask all of you guys to give it up for the women and the great things they do. Everything they're involved with seems to go better. Cancel your appointments this afternoon, turn off your clocks. I want to share a little bit with you about how I got here. And most of all, I want to thank so many of you here today. This is a wonderful honor that I will treasure forever. But the other honor today is the presence of so many dear friends. And Lorraine and Chrissy and your friends, I hope you'll indulge me a minute while I tell a few of them how much I love them. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to go on the Ernie Stottner process of giving last rites. Those of you that might remember Ernie was a pro football player, played for the Cowboys, and he'd been out with Bobby Lane one night and was feeling kind of ill and decided this might be the big one. So they took him to the hospital. He called for the priest and set up Father Ernie last rites. And they said, "Okay." And when the priest finally got there, he said, "Come in quick." He said, "Quick, I don't have time to hit the details, and I'm just going to hit the highlights, okay?" So I've got a few highlights here that I'd like to thank people. And if you need to leave, I totally understand. So first of all, I need to start with dear family that's all up here, from mothers and sisters to wives. And I did say wives, it does say Episcopal Church, not Mormon here. So and I've been so blessed that Gwen and Kate get along so well. And you might say, well, they have a common enemy, right? And children and goddaughters and boyfriends and that have come from Amarillo, Alpine, Fredericksburg, and the next great group of friends that we've just celebrated 50 years of brotherhood in Phi Delta Theta a few weeks ago that have come from all over the state. Of course, when you've got a good pimp like Diane Scoble bringing them out of the backwoods, it's great. So they've come in from San Angelo and Austin and Crockett and even some from the Fort and Arlington. And even Sweet Janelle came without Tio. That's pretty dedicated when the wife comes. Janelle, right? Yeah. And all of our dear, dear St. Michael family, where we have had all the important things in our lives for so many years, and all the different groups there, whether it's mission trips or trips of Father Power to the Holy Land or committee work and all the tears and laughter and joy of confirmations, baptisms, weddings, funerals one of these days, and Bible studies with guys that like all these fraternity brothers that are your Foxhole guys, especially our St. John the Evangelist group, where we go and have the chance to be with the brothers. We are Martians, but when we get behind closed doors, we talk Venus things too. If you don't know. And so many of you here that represent so many groups, I'm so happy that the Mahjong group isn't meeting today, because I know there'll be a lot of vacancies here, including my wife Kate. Those of you in the garden club that gave up today to come, thank you. Those of you in those great organizations like where's the Dallas Institute, where's all of our group over here, Claudia and Larry, and the Bellamy's and the the best backer group anyone ever had, the K-Nats with Nancy and Melba that support. And where's Tony? Social Venture Partners. These two are changing Dallas with the Dallas Festival of Ideas and then the actions that come on after that. And it's been great to watch. And speaking of changing Dallas, the Salesmanship Club with Momentus and Michelle and Sandy and all the wonderful work that they do with the children down there. And they're finally getting the national attention that they should have had all along. And it's great to watch and see that grow. The Dream Team, my gosh, you guys, you give me a husband's night out every couple of weeks, which is great, and you listen to Kate, which is great, and I'm sure that Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud are laughing about some of the things they hear from you. You've heard that line about you can't make that stuff up? Kate really can't make that stuff up. So, you all are there too. Michelle Corson, where are you and what you do with On the Road Lending? It's just wonderful helping women be able to get jobs and keep their family and transportation, stuff like that. And I apologize for those that I may have left out, but I would like to tell each one of you individually how much I love you and how much I appreciate you being here today. But and I can't forget Santa Fe and our travel team over here. They're so sweet. They let me interlope and play like I'm the lobby boy and move their luggage around every once in a while for something to do. And that's the best economic boost the state of New Mexico gets every year. They're shocking. So, and Jane, we're new friends, just met, but you know, you're the luckiest person here to be sitting with Nell Beck. So welcome to both of us. Anyway, thank all of you. I think that this probably should be renamed Women Who Give Hope and a Guy Who's Gotten Hope. And I know some of you may have come kind of like you go to a NASCAR event to see if I'm going to crash or not. Or there was a wager whether because it was Women Who Give Hope, whether I would be in drag, which was not too for those of you that bet the other way, I can only apologize, but I will tell you that I haven't had an earwig in for the last several days, and it goes something like this. I am a woman, hear me, brother. Anyway, I need to accept this honor for some people, and some of them I've never met. And they are the ones that are the upline for this gorgeous white-headed lady over here named Jane, also known as Mom. It's her family. They went out to that part of the world that those of you that saw the movie Bernie, when they went around trying to explain the parts of the state, there was a big question mark at the panhandle. And, it probably should have been an exclamation point when some of us got out of there, but it was a question mark in the movie. But they went out to a place between Happy and Toohey in 1889 and set up a farm, started farming and ranching, ran a way station for the stages that would go back and forth between Amarillo and Lubbock. And people out on the prairie in those days, they had to help each other. So there was a spirit of helping and the spirit of doing for your neighbor. And that got magnified in this lady over here. And one of my other Women Who Give Hope is my dear sister. And I will say that my mother is my truest, only, best, lifetime friend. And my next one is the sweet sister right here. And there's nothing that they don't get involved with in Amarillo, and that kind of keeps Amarillo on track. And they're down here now at the convention trying to get the Republicans on track. So you talk about got your work cut out for you. And then there is the other lady in my Holy Trinity of Women That Give Me Hope, and that is my bride, Kate, who's been so special. Now, you got to know that this third world traveling and stuff like that is not really in her vocabulary. And she really made it difficult in the beginning. I would bring people over to invite them to go to Bolivia, and she would be, Bolivia? That's the edge of the world. That's where Butch and Sundance died. That's where Che Guevara died. Why would you go there? So after losing a lot of potential clients to travel with me, I started meeting outside the house. And finally, Jack Bond, Dennis, and Janice Wells finally ventured out with me, and we didn't look back. But I will say that in Kate's defense for a third world trip, about my 12th 13th trip, another doctor in our Bible study asked me if I was still going down there and did I have altitude sickness. I said, well, not really, but he said, we've got some new medicine. So he brought me a box of it, and I went home. I said, Kate, I've got some new medicine for the altitude sickness in Bolivia. And it turned out to be Viagra. The doctor said, it's the latest thing, it's in the New England Journal of Medicine, it's supposed to work great, so try it. So all I hear from Kate is, wait a minute, you've been going down there and chewing coca leaves and getting high. Now you're going to go down there aroused. I'm going with you next trip. And so she did. Unfortunately, we spent too much time in La Paz, Lake Titicaca area, and she got the worst case of altitude sickness that anyone ever had. Finally, we get down to a little bit lower altitude, around 8,500, where the orphanage and the mission is. We pull up in the orphanage, and my godson and his little brother come running out going, Papa Dana, Papa Dana. And Kate goes, wait a minute. Viagra, Papa Danny, what kind of a mission is this? Yeah, I probably should have prefaced it by the other time she did go to the Rosebud Reservation with me. She walked into the ladies' room and there was a bright yellow snake in the middle floor to greet her, so you can see why she's had a little bit of issue. Thanks for all your wonderful support all this time. Gosh. Joel, still got the hook? Still got it. All right. Keep it handy. If I start rambling like I'm from Georgia Tech instead of a straight shooter from Texas Tech in here, you can stop it. I just want to say a couple things about you know, how we get to where we are in life sometimes. And this for me comes under, if you want to tell, or if you want to give God a good laugh, tell him your plans. Because I thought I was a corporate guy for a long time. And when certain doors close, you have to reevaluate that. And like Richard Rohr says, and what we're studying, we started falling upward and moving from that first part of life to second part of life. And so I started looking at different options. There's a wonderful quote by a lady named Virginia Connolly, who was in 1940, at the age of 27, she was the first female physician in Abilene, Texas. And she met a lot of resistance, but she lived to be 100, and she said that I was just doing things that God planted in my life and heart. And some of you may relate to that, and that started relating to me several years ago. But, you know, how to get involved? Well, so many of us have had the chance to piggyback on the giants, like Father Will Wilson, who was the single driving point, the Power One that helped start the mission in Bolivia. We've got Lucy the leader, and Tricia the terrific, and the Dirty 30 and all they've done with Chiapas. Dave and Vicky Valley, what they did to start Esperanza, and Malou and Bill Bancroft, and what they've done with Honduras Threads. So we go with each other, we go in community, and we can learn to make a difference that way. You know, when you go out there in these third world places, there's enough pain and poverty and this bleakness to last a lifetime. It's kind of emblazoned on your senses. And I remember when I was younger, and Gwen and I had the chance to travel to the jungles of the Amazon or places in Asia. When I saw that stuff, it was sort of like a video, just kind of moving through it. It was sort of like a cultural zoo to see how these people live. But once you go back and you start to sense the injustice, the poverty, the lack, then it starts touching you. And then the wonderful thing is that no matter how bad it is, there is hope through organizations and individuals like so many of you in your work and your groups. And that hope outweighs those scales. And you know, there's still painful things there, and there's things that we can and cannot do, but if we go with the right attitude, we can make a difference. There's, you know, terrible stories. We had a young man at the orphanage whose family was trying to get rid of him. They put him under a tire truck, and fortunately someone found him before We had another little girl who went to school one day, came home from school just like she always did. Her parents had left and abandoned her. Now, those two ended up as happy stories because we were able to bring them to the orphanage, and they lived with a family with love, and now they're teenagers and they are acting like teenagers. So it's great, but there's also the sadness of the ones you can't save. I'll never forget the day that our executive director and I walked to the next village from our clinic, and a grandmother met us at the edge of the village, and she had only maybe a couple-month-old granddaughter that she wanted to give us. She wanted us to take this daughter, not knowing us from Adam, but she felt like that child would have a better chance with us than he would in that village. And those of you wonder about, whatever happened to them, wish you could have helped them. We do what we can. One thing I've learned that hope is bilateral. And we North Americans go out there thinking we're going to show them how to do it, what to do, and we've got all the answers. And as Chrissy said, that they show us, and it's a wonderful thing. So there's a favorite quote that I have is they asked the wise man, "Who's your enemy?" And he said, "Well, it's the man whose story I haven't heard yet." And that was really summarized for us when we first went to the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota. The Episcopal Bishop of the state of South Dakota said, we welcome you to come here, come back, but don't think you're going to change us. Just come be with us, walk with us, talk with us, and then we will have accomplished something. And that is so true, and it's a little bit like prayer. The more we listen, the better we get at it. So there's a lot of similarities there. We have seen so many transformations in our little village in Bolivia where we took a village and cut the infant mortality rate to zero, the maternal mortality rate to zero, have a clinic, a feeding operation for the children, brought agronomists and water, fresh water, actually built a dam so they have year-round water, improved their diets, just totally transformed that. So you can see the hope. And what gets me sometimes is I can still see those eyes and those smiles and those thank yous. And Jack and I got to go to see Paul Farmer and all the wonderful work he's doing in Haiti with the AIDS patients. And Annette and the women of St. Michael did a wonderful water project in Haiti. Jack and I got to be there the day that they turned it on. And these little boys had never seen water come out of a fountain. They looked like school kids. It was just fun. Wonderful stories about a parishioner who tells a story about meeting the one-legged lady who used her microfinance loan to get equipment, to cut and chop and sell firewood. And he said, "I want her on my team when the fight starts." That's an incredible spirit. Or the David Loomis story about the older blind man that knew how to plant the crops, but he couldn't see where to plant them. So he had a daughter, a granddaughter that would guide his hands as he planted, and they worked together to get all the family crops done. Or the little girl that he gave a piece of candy to, and she opened it, ate half of it, and wrapped it back up. And he said, "What are you going to do with the rest of that?" She said, "Well, I'm going to take half home to my mother, and I want to save the wrapper so I can remember you." And seeing some of the kids in our orphanage grow up and go to college. Our first graduate was a girl in a Latin American country. Can you imagine that? And not only did she graduate from college, she has gone back and tried to set up her own nonprofit to help some of the kids in the orphanage. Tell me that's not hope. In the situation where Kate and I found ourselves in the last few months with our health issues, I get the wonderful blessing and gift of being able to call up the memories of these faces and these people and see their spirit and see their hope. And it gives me hope to get through the day. And I also get to call up so many of you and think about what you've done in our lives, and what you're doing in other lives, and that gives me hope too. And I want to thank you for that. You heard I walked on well, you did, but several years ago I got to go walk on the pilgrimage in Spain to Santiago de Compostela. And there's a little greeting that we give each other when we walk. You say, "Buen camino," when you meet someone or when they leave. Simple translation is good way, good journey. But there's really more to it. It's more of a greeting, well-wishing, and a prayer that your journey be safe and that you go with God to your final destination. So I'd like to ask each one of you to turn to the person on your left or your right, look him in the eye, and give him a buen camino, because that's what I want to give you before we leave today.
Buen camino. Buen camino.
Yeah, the love fest is getting out of control. It's like buen camino. All right. Thanks so much. And you made my day. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for being here to honor these very special people. As you may or may not know, if you're new to this group, Lucy and our board and all of us decided this past January that Chiapas had done what we needed to do, and we have closed our doors. So this luncheon now will be transitioned to Esperanza as an annual event. So we hope that you'll continue to come back. And the reason that we decided to do this, when we first started working in Chiapas and funding, when Lucy and the friends first developed this group, we were the only one in Dallas that were really focusing on microfinance or funding it. But now we're so thrilled to tell you that after all this time, since 2003, we know there's over 6 organizations in Dallas that are working on the ground, and we are so thrilled. So there was just no point in us to duplicate what was being done on the ground so wonderfully. So we are thrilled to hand this event over to Esperanza, to Steve Bricksher and Marisa and Caleb. And if you're a guest of someone today and would like to support and give a loan to a woman, there's cards on your table, and you could do it in honor of the Juetts or our other honorees, or Ron or Christy. But we thank you so much for coming. And again, just a reminder, those centerpieces were to allow us to give a loan in honor of this group today in the DR. So whoever would like to take some tulips home to enjoy that simple centerpiece, please do so. And thank you so much for coming.